Tonight, travelers brace for cancellations as an Air Transat strike looms.
We hope can come back on time, safe.
With pilots set to walk, flights could soon be grounded as the holiday travel season takes off. What you need to know. Organized crime crackdown, more than a dozen arrests after a series of violent crimes.
These acts were brazen, they were brutal, and they're completely unacceptable.
Among those allegedly involved, teens as young as 14. And a new survey finds more Canadians are finding family doctors.
The big things in Canada are getting better.
But even with primary care, getting seen fast is still not the norm.
From CBC News, this is The National with Chief Correspondent Adrian Arsenault.
Thanks for joining us. Passengers flying Air Transat are in limbo tonight. A possible pilot strike is looming with serious potential to frustrate plans right before the holidays. And time is rapidly running out. Pilots seeking better pay, better working conditions, and job security are poised to strike at 3 a.m. Wednesday morning. There is little sign negotiations have gotten off the ground. Thousands of passengers facing potential cancellations and definite complications. Anis Haidari has the latest as the deadline approaches, including clashing signals from the union and the airline about what is on the bargaining table.
Air Transat could face a strike soon. Passengers are already thinking about it.
I brought my book, my computer with me. If I'm going to stuck there, I can have my exam on my computer.
This is just one of the hiccups, so we'll deal with it.
We'll come back on the next Monday. And yeah, we hope can come back on time, safe.
As Monday began, no major cancellations, but the company is preparing. It's adding extra flights to bring Canadians home early, all in case there's no deal. About 750 pilots often fly thousands of people a day on Air Transat, mostly to international destinations. It's hard to say where negotiations are at right now. The company says it's offering a big wage increase. The union disagrees.
Overall, the 59% average does stand, and we stand by that. We believe that it is the offer that we have on the table. That's what we presented.
If we had 59% on the table from the company, we'd be taking it to our members. It would be irresponsible not to. So I'm not going to get into what's on the table.
This is just the latest example of tension over how much Canadian pilots are paid. Last year, Air Canada pilots won big wage increases after threatening to strike, and more pay for WestJet pilots after similar moves both last year and the year before. Plus, foreign airlines may be upping wage expectations.
There's a recognition that there's a shortage of pilots in Canada, so we've got to step up to the plate and pay them well.
The last contract and its wages were set more than 10 years ago.
You've also got crews who are seeing aircraft that are full, and they're expecting the airline to be making money, and they are naturally going to want to see some of that success in their paycheck.
While the airline and the union say they're still negotiating, the clock is ticking. The pilots could walk off the job by Wednesday.
And Anis, in theory, travelers who are caught up in this, they do have some options, right?
Air Transat has said that if you're traveling within the next few days, they will let you cancel or postpone your flight without an extra charge. Now, the airline usually handles vacation destinations, think sunshine. But if you get stuck somewhere, regulations do say the airline is supposed to compensate you for that. However, that doesn't always apply, so your mileage may vary.
All right, we will keep watching. That's Anis Haidari at the Calgary airport. Police say they have dismantled a violent criminal group operating in Ontario and Quebec, responsible for everything from robberies and carjackings, even murder. And as Jamie Strachan explains, particularly concerning to investigators is that young teens were allegedly recruited to take part.
The violence brazen and reckless, and now police say part of an organized criminal network in Ontario and Quebec.
These suspects certainly did not discriminate. They showed complete disregard for the value of human life, and they left hundreds of victims in their wake.
To underscore the point, police releasing these stunning videos showing a shooting into a crowded hospital emergency room, store windows smashed, employees shot during armed robberies, a man gunned down in his driveway. Not random gang violence, police say, but planned mayhem that happened over the course of a year.
This was not a traditional street gang, but rather a coalition of adult men from different groups and locations who would align themselves for profit-motivated violence.
In what they've dubbed Project Wrangler, 13 people have been arrested, 150 charges laid, mostly against men in their late teens and early 20s, but police say teens as young as 14 were involved.
The group recruited and exploited younger individuals, using them as drivers and lookouts, and in some cases using them directly in the criminal activity themselves.
Part of a trend of increasingly violent crimes being committed by younger people.
15 years ago, we supported a lot of young people that were, maybe committing, petty acts of mischief. The pendulum has swung way the opposite way.
They're being groomed in real time through their phones.
Those who deal with these kinds of cases say young recruits are easy to manipulate and face little punishment if caught.
The jobs oftentimes begin smaller and then they progress. And oftentimes what ends up happening is that a young person finds themselves in a situation where either they have to prove themselves or perhaps they find that perhaps, they got in too deep.
Police point out another common theme too. Nearly all of those charged were out on bail. Jamie Strachan, CBC News, Toronto.
An 88-year-old grandmother was found dead this morning after she left her Montreal area seniors residence in the cold, unsupervised. And as Sarah Levitt shows us, this isn't the first time the family of a senior in care has been left with agonizing grief and unanswered questions.
Outside this Montreal area seniors residence, a walker and a handbag in the snow, signs of a tragic death. Police were called to the residence just before 7 a.m. Monday after the body of 88-year-old Jeanne Goyer was found outside. It's not clear exactly how she died, but temperatures dipped to -18 overnight.
Elle est morte gelée.
She died frozen, her grandson Marc-Olivier Naude says. I can't believe we pay $4,000 to $5,000 a month, he says, and she was just able to walk out undetected. The family says Goyer suffered from an illness similar to dementia and was on a floor for seniors who can't live independently. Last summer, she was able to get out undetected but was soon found. Not this time. The owners of the residence didn't reply to requests for comment. In 2019, the mother of former Bloc Québécois leader Gilles Duceppe died of hypothermia after she was locked out of her retirement residence for 6 hours in -35-degree weather. A coroner's report noted deaths like hers are entirely preventable.
It's everyone's worst nightmare. Their loved one is in some type of seniors residence in order to be safe, and they are found outside.
Some cases have led to charges, like the 2023 death of a 79-year-old locked out of her Oshawa, Ontario retirement home overnight. 3 employees, as well as the facility itself, face charges of criminal negligence causing death.
If you have a retirement home or a long-term care facility and that patient or client is there clearly with cognitive impairment, clearly receiving services for that cognitive impairment and their frailty, a failure to take care is a very serious issue.
In Goyer's case, a coroner is investigating. Police say they don't consider it a criminal matter, but her grieving family wants answers. Sarah Levitt, CBC News, Montreal.
Ottawa is making it easier for foreign-trained doctors to apply for permanent residency in Canada.
Many of these doctors are already treating patients in our communities. We cannot afford to lose them.
Starting next year, the government will fast-track applications for foreign-trained doctors with at least 1 year of Canadian work experience. They must have a current job offer. 5,000 spots will be reserved for international doctors over and above current immigration levels. The Canadian Medical Association calls it a move in the right direction. Well, the push to keep physicians in Canada comes as a new survey shows millions of Canadians are still without a family doctor. But as Christine Birak shows us, progress is being made.
Canadians want someone looking out for their care. Now more are finding it through a family doctor.
So I think the big things in Canada are getting better.
A new national report examining the primary care system suggests 81% of those surveyed now have a family doctor or nurse practitioner. 3 years ago, it was 77%. Despite the progress, roughly 5.9 million Canadians are still waiting, including Rodrigo Martinez, who lost a doctor he waited over 2 years for in Ontario when he moved to Quebec.
It's very troublesome and worrisome, mostly because aside from myself, I have 2 kids and I have to worry about their future as well.
But even those with a family doctor reported challenges accessing care. Just over a third of Canadians said they could get a same or next day appointment. And
there are some concerning trends in the demographics in terms of what we're seeing in terms of the groups who seem to have better access than others.
Data reveals gaps, including more women than men having regular care. And income matters. Among high earners, 84% have care. Those earning a lot less, it's closer to 70%.
If you don't have the opportunity to have access to the same family physician over time where you can develop that relationship and trust, it can be very difficult for people to want to access the healthcare system for the care they need, particularly for preventative care.
The survey also found 11% of those without a doctor paid out of pocket for appointments, something that shouldn't be happening under the Canada Health Act.
This is something that should be publicly covered. So to me, this is a real indication that we need to do better.
While provinces like Ontario, Manitoba, and Nova Scotia are now investing in team-based care to take on more patients, Canadians surveyed gave the primary care system overall 3 stars out of 10. Christine Burak, CBC News, Toronto.
Police have launched a hate crimes investigation after cases containing Jewish prayer skulls, or Mezuzahs, were taken from the doorways of apartments in a Toronto community housing building.
They took it. I don't know what they were.
About 20 Mezuzahs were reported stolen in the building. The symbols of Jewish faith traditionally affixed outside homes visibly ripped off. Police are looking for tips. On social media, Toronto Mayor Olivia Chow called it an outrageous and vile act of anti-Semitism. Well, a key piece of Liberal anti-hate legislation is in limbo tonight after hitting a roadblock on its way through committee. CBC News has learned the Justice Minister brokered a deal with the Bloc Québécois to see it pass. But as Kate McKenna explains, he failed to get approval from the top.
Mr. Speaker, it's essential that we continue to do what we can.
Canada's Justice Minister is in the hot seat over a deal now in jeopardy.
This particular bill, since inception, was designed to combat hate in this country.
Sean Fraser's Bill C-9 is meant to strengthen hate crime laws, following a surge of violence targeting Muslim and Jewish communities. But the Liberals are struggling to find support from opposition parties who say it infringes on civil liberties.
I look forward to collaborating with all parties in a minority parliament, and I will look forward very much to the recommendations from the Justice Committee as they consider potential amendments to the current bill.
The Bloc Québécois says they made a deal with Fraser's office to help pass C-9 through committee. It would remove a religious exemption from hate speech laws, which the Bloc says could be used as a cover for things like anti-Semitism and homophobia.
When you have a deal with a minister, that minister represents the government, and you should normally be safe with it.
But sources tell CBC News that deal is in question because Fraser's office didn't get buy-in from the Prime Minister's office.
I think the Liberals have been hearing the millions of Canadians that they've alienated with this agreement to erode long-standing religious protections that will inevitably infringe on people's right to practice their faith.
Some faith communities fear removing the religious exemption could lead to some religious texts being criminalized.
You're going to be prosecuting religious leaders in every mosque, in every church, in every synagogue.
But Jewish groups are calling on lawmakers to pass the bill as quickly as possible.
There is a vital need for concerted action coming out of our parliament to strengthen the response of police and prosecutors and to send a very clear and unequivocal message that hateful extremism has no place in Canada anywhere.
This is the last week the House of Commons is sitting before the holidays, meaning if lawmakers don't find a way forward soon, the bill won't progress past committee until the House comes back in late January.
And so, Kate, what are the odds there's movement on this before then?
Well, there seems to be some things happening behind the scenes. Members of the Justice Committee have been told that there will be an 8-hour meeting on Tuesday. It might offer some insight as to whether the Liberals will make good on their deal with the Bloc or not.
All right, that's Kate McKenna in Ottawa. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Federal public servants could soon get some clarity on updated return to office rules. The Prime Minister says the details are set to be worked out in the coming weeks.
We will be engaging with the public sector unions on the modalities of that, on the appropriate levels of that.
Speaking at an event with Ottawa's mayor, he said the amount of time workers will be expected to be in the office will vary depending on their role and seniority. Currently, federal public servants are working in office a minimum of 3 days a week. Well, tsunami warnings have been lifted tonight following a magnitude 7.5 earthquake that struck off the coast of northern Japan. That quake hit just before midnight local time, violently shaking buildings and cutting power. More than 20 people were injured. The Japan Meteorological Agency is warning about possible aftershocks in the days to come. Well, thousands have been forced to flee the Thailand-Cambodia border after a series of deadly strikes. Sasha Petrusik now with a battle over who's to blame following what appears to be a crack in a shaky ceasefire.
An explosion rocks the jungle in Thailand near the Cambodian border. Our base is under attack, say soldiers. On the Cambodian side, video shows panic after Thai fighter jets strike nearby. Two official versions of events overnight. Both Cambodia and Thailand insist the other side provoked border fighting, breaking a fragile ceasefire in a long-standing conflict that's been simmering for months.
Our military action will continue until Thailand's sovereignty and territorial integrity are not being compromised.
The dispute centers around a disagreement about the border, and officials report at least 5 deaths in this round of fighting. Bangkok accuses Cambodia of massing troops. Cambodia says it's Thailand that's the aggressor, with plans to invade. In October, the two countries reinforced a ceasefire U.S. President Donald Trump boasted of imposing by threatening both sides with trade sanctions back in July. But religious forces have proven stubborn, with both countries claiming ownership over Hindu and Buddhist temples near the border. Thai politics has also intervened as parties there prepare for an election.
So there's a lot of political incentive not to appear weak, not to appear to be browbeaten by the Americans. And so I think that encourages a cycle of escalation that's pretty hard to get out of.
Hundreds of thousands of civilians on both sides have been moved from the tense border area, while the White House says Trump expects each to honor its ceasefire agreement. Sasha Petrusik, CBC News, Toronto.
100 students who were among those abducted last month from a Catholic school in northern Nigeria have been freed.
I have these children, 100 of them, and by the grace of God, we're expecting the remaining half to be released very soon.
Officials didn't say how they secured the children's release, whether through negotiations or military force. The Christian Association of Nigeria says that gunmen kidnapped more than 300 students and a dozen staff roughly 2 weeks ago. As of now, more than 100 are still believed to be held captive. Well, Paramount has launched a hostile bid in an attempt to derail Netflix's acquisition of Warner Brothers.
Our deal is pro-consumer, it's pro-creative talent, it's pro-competition.
The brewing battle between entertainment giants. Female incarcerations in Ontario are way up. Many women just waiting to be tried.
You're not actually human in there.
Why this could all get worse. And a reunion nearly 80 years in the making.
I didn't know he existed. He didn't know I existed.
We're back in 2.
What I'm doing here is I'm creating a closed circuit.
One battle after another, starring Leonardo DiCaprio, is leading the way into the 2026 Golden Globes with 9 nominations. On the TV side, The White Lotus is the front runner with 6 nominations. Canadians nominated include Catherine O'Hara for her role in Apple TV's comedy The Studio, and K-pop Demon Hunters, created by Canadian Maggie Kang, received 3 nominations. The multi-billion-dollar battle over the ownership of Warner Brothers is heating up. Paramount launched a hostile bid for the Hollywood legacy studio, challenging the deal Netflix struck just days ago. And as Michelle Song shows us, the U.S. president is right in the center of it all.
It may sound like something out of HBO's hit show Succession, a hostile bid to take over a media empire.
It'll be hostile, hostile, hostile.
But at stake in this real-life corporate drama is Warner Brothers, fresh off making a $72 billion deal with Netflix, now entertaining a sudden $108 billion bid from Paramount Skydance. Paramount hopes to leverage concerns that Netflix, the world's top streaming service, could end up controlling Warner's HBO Max, its direct competitor.
Our deal is pro-consumer, it's pro-creative talent, it's pro-competition.
Paramount is also pitching to buy Warner's cable operations, including CNN, which Netflix did not. Any deal would require the approval of U.S. regulators. And it appears Donald Trump, who Sunday night suggested Netflix's deal might be a problem.
It's a lot of market share, so we'll have to see what happens.
Just hours later, Paramount launched its bid. An added layer, the private equity firm of Jared Kushner, Trump's son-in-law, is one of the financial backers. But Trump Monday denied speaking to Kushner about it.
I have to see what percentage of market they have. None of them are particularly great friends of mine.
I think, honestly, President Trump is going to be a massive wild card because these two offers would normally be subject to a rigorous anti-competition regulatory process.
It's raising questions about potential undue influence.
When there is an administration that is as willing as the Trump administration has demonstrated themselves to be, willing to affect decisions, whether that is in films, television, on the newscast, I think it is definitely a concern.
The Warner Brothers Board of Directors says it would review Paramount's offer, but is advising the company to hold off on taking any action for now. Michelle Song, CBC News, Toronto.
A former BC lumber town is losing its last mill, potentially putting hundreds of jobs at risk.
Everyone's affected, and not just workers that are with the mill.
The struggle being felt in an industry struck by tariffs. And American universities under threat by the Trump administration for refusing to follow orders.
People shouldn't be abducted off of the streets.
The impact on campus. The National breaks down the stories shaping our world. Next. Ontario jails are on track for a record year of overcrowding, according to a new CBC News data investigation. And as politicians debate bail reforms that could put even more people behind bars, there are concerns the situation could get even worse. Julie Ireton explains.
This would be the female dorms.
This woman spent 4 months inside this Ontario jail, awaiting her trial. Charged and later convicted of drug possession, CBC is not naming her for her protection.
The conditions and the way that you're treated as an inmate, you're not actually human in there.
There's an increasing number of women being incarcerated. In the past 6 years, 38% more women have been sent to jail. The vast majority are waiting for trial.
It's certainly shocking and alarming to see the huge growth in the number of women that are being held on the front end.
CBC's data analysis found overcrowding has become the norm in Ontario jails. Last summer, 22 of the province's 24 operating jails had more prisoners than beds. Frequently, 3 or even 4 inmates share cells meant for 2. But tough on crime messages could lead to new laws and more people in jail.
These changes will keep violent, repeat offenders of these crimes off our streets.
In fact, some judges have allowed accused to walk free, Cases have been stayed, citing human rights violations because of unsafe conditions and frequent lockdowns.
If you're one of these tough on crime people that cares about the proper administration of punishment in this province, then you should be very concerned that there's people getting discounts on sentences because of inadequate conditions.
The Ontario government proposes its own bail reforms and more jails.
We will be very, very aggressive in opening up new jails because in the end of the day, that means that if a person gets arrested, I have a place for them.
This Ottawa jail has been continuously over capacity for the past 3 years. The Ontario government has plans to expand and build new facilities, but in this region, a new jail won't be completed until at least 2032. Julie Ireton, CBC News, Ottawa.
Now it's time to dig deeper into the stories shaping our world. Donald Trump's attacks on U.S. universities.
You see what we're doing with the colleges, and they're all bending.
Well, actually, not all of them, but first.
Rural Canada is, kind of going the way of the dodo, I guess.
The closure of a small BC town's last sawmill fills an entire community with frustration and fear.
Everyone's affected, and not just workers that are with the mill.
Lindsay Duncombe visited 100 Mile House, BC, to get to the heart of the story, one that is playing out across many parts of rural Canada.
There is shock and sadness in 100 Mile House.
The impact emotionally, physically, spiritually, when these things happen is very devastating.
The town's lumber mill is closing for good. Families leaving.
I've lived in this area my whole life, so that would be a big change for me.
As the economy changes, worry grows that parts of rural Canada are in crisis.
You think things are just perfectly fine, and then a major industry just stops.
100 Mile House is a lumber town. There used to be 3 mills here. In November, West Fraser gave notice. The last mill left is closing. 165 people out of work.
Hi, Sven.
Hi, Lindsay. How are you doing?
I'm good. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you as well.
Laborer Sven Berkner isn't sure how many shifts he has left.
So how are you feeling?
Feeling pretty sad. Pretty sad about stuff.
The last log was processed weeks ago. It's all clean up now. None of this is easy.
You know, we are mill workers, so we have a little tough time sometimes expressing our emotion. I get the sense that it's very tough for quite a lot of people.
About 2,000 people live in 100 Mile House, in the heart of BC's interior.
Once the big machines finish, technology takes over.
The mill opened 40 years ago. Even then, tariffs were a problem. Now, it's so much worse.
Well, the tariffs don't help.
Rob Barron is West Fraser's regional manager. He says forest fires hit the area hard. Mountain pine beetle, too. The mill has salvaged what it can, but it's just too expensive to get to the trees that are left.
We worked hard to have the best operation we could here, and our employees worked very hard in spite of everybody doing the best they can. The economics of the fiber supply just don't work for us.
So I kind of foresaw a little bit months in advance.
Berkner had a sense layoffs were coming when the Christmas party was canceled.
And I made a comment to my coworkers, and I said, you know, if they can't afford a Christmas party, they may as well close the doors. And it was kind of a half joke that I was making, and unfortunately, you know, it did come to that.
He's been here before. He was laid off when the last mill closed. Now he's helping his girlfriend raise 3 young children. He's eligible to apply for other jobs at West Fraser Mills and other towns, but he's not going to. He plans to work as a server in a local restaurant instead.
From having 2 mills closed in one town. I fear that if I do relocate and get another job in the mill industry, even the mining industry, I fear that it will not be a secure job for me in the future.
You worry it could happen again.
Or it could happen again, absolutely.
He blames politicians.
I do believe that our BC government, as well as our Liberal government, has really let us down.
Maureen Pinckney is the mayor of 100 Mile House.
50-50.
She also volunteers at junior hockey games.
I was born and raised here. Thank you. 100 Mile has had its ups and downs.
Wranglers games are a big deal. Hundreds turn out. With the mill closing, there's anger and anxiety in the stands.
We're trying to keep it really positive because we have so much to offer here, but it's devastating.
She says those 165 job cuts could actually mean 500 people out of work when you factor in cuts to industries that support the mill.
Everyone's affected, and not just workers that are with the mill. They have spouses, and we may end up losing some nurses because if they have to transfer to work somewhere else.
The emergency room here has already had closures because there isn't enough staff. Losing nurses would make it worse. And then there's taxes. The entire budget for 100 Mile House is $3.5 million a year. $460,000 of that came from the mill. Not anymore.
So that's a big hit. That's a really big hit. So we still have to provide water, sewer, roads, sidewalks, and we don't have a way.
Pinckney is lobbying federal and provincial governments for cash and trying to attract new business. She knows other communities are doing the same.
You think things are just perfectly fine, and then a major industry just stops. But it's happened to a lot of towns literally across Canada.
Rural Canada is, kind of going the way of the dodo, I guess. I don't know.
Mark Bassat worked at the mill for 27 years. He's interviewed for positions at West Fraser's other mills.
When you haven't done an interview in a long, long time, you feel very vulnerable.
Whatever happens, he's pretty sure he, his wife, and his 3 kids will have to move.
The uncertainty of having to sell a home and see what you get for it, and then having to buy another home somewhere else, uprooting the family and changing their normal life.
He hopes he can get a job in a town not too far away, in a community not too different from this.
You have to be positive, and things will work out. I believe that.
Shortly after our interview, West Fraser announced the indefinite closure of its strand board plant in High Level, Alberta. Another 190 jobs gone in another small town.
There's no community that is immune to this happening. There really isn't. I mean, it's one thing when we see the forestry industry starting to go down, but then we start to see also the steel industry starting to go down.
But he just got some good news.
I was told last night that the community is going to be paying for a Christmas party. So thank you to the community, right? So that's a big thing, right? And that hits heavy, right? So thank goodness for that.
Plants may close, industries may come and go, but some things about small town Canada stay the same.
In the wake of the mill closures, last week, BC's Council of Forest Industries called on the province to step up, saying, quote, "The time for urgent action was yesterday." In cracking down on protests at U.S. campuses, Donald Trump dangles threats of funding cuts and deportation.
There is definitely a climate of fear among students across universities.
As many scramble to appease, what is the cost of resisting? Next. Donald Trump has demanded that U.S. colleges reshape their policies, trying to compel compliance by withholding funds.
All autocrats attack universities.
Why many worry that the cost of targeting campuses is borne everywhere in free speech and scientific research. And that's the tension at the heart of the story from Terrence McKenna. How should universities react when the government tells them what to do?
While the widespread arrests of immigrants in the United States has been the focus of what is widely seen as the Trump administration's assault on democratic values, the federal government has also taken aim at others considered enemies, especially at universities. Turkish PhD student Rumeysa Öztürk at Tufts University near Boston was the first target whose case received widespread attention. On March 25th, she was on her way to have dinner with friends when she was arrested by masked and plainclothes agents. She had no idea who these people were or what was happening. Although she was in the U.S. on a legal student visa, she quickly disappeared into a Kafkaesque detention system, moved from Massachusetts to Vermont, and finally to a detention center in Louisiana. Her case came to the attention of the American Civil Liberties Union in Boston. Jesse Rossman was assigned to be her lawyer.
What's happening there is clearly unlawful and terrifying. Her family had no idea where she was, her friends had no idea where she was, even her counsel. For a period of 24 hours, no one was able to get in touch with Rumeysa to find out where she was.
It became clear that Öztürk was targeted because months earlier she had co-authored an article in the Tufts student newspaper calling on the university administration to recognize what is happening in Gaza as a genocide.
The free speech protections of the First Amendment protect citizens and non-citizens alike, and people shouldn't be abducted off of the streets and taken halfway across the country to be put behind bars because of speaking out.
After 45 days of incarceration, a federal judge determined that Öztürk's detention was illegal, and she was released from prison in Louisiana.
Thank you so much for all the support online.
I think across the country, and honestly even internationally, what we saw was an outcry that this is not the way the First Amendment is supposed to operate here in this country.
The Trump administration quickly moved on to Harvard University, where they demanded the name of every foreign student.
You're going to see some very radical people. They're taking people from areas of the world that are very radicalized, and we don't want them making trouble in our country.
Harvard was threatened with the withholding of billions of dollars of federal scientific research funds if they did not crack down on student demonstrations and remove other liberal race and gender policies. Harvard resisted, but Columbia University in New York City quickly surrendered to Trump's terms.
Columbia University sort of was a model of cowardice in their initial and later responses.
Senior professor Jason Stanley gained fame at Yale University as an expert on fascism.
I think what you see in the United States now is a general chill in speech in universities. People don't even recognize that it's a chill. They think to themselves, oh, I don't want to draw attention to my university. I don't want to draw attention to my institution. This will pass. So they don't recognize that this is part of the slide into fascism.
You see what we're doing with the colleges, and they're all bending and saying, sir, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Another Trump target was the University of California, Berkeley. In the 1960s and 70s, Berkeley became famous for student demonstrations and what was called the free speech movement. The demonstrations began in reaction to the anti-communist purges led by Senator Joseph McCarthy.
One communist on the faculty of one university is one communist too many.
Berkeley students protesting at San Francisco City Hall were arrested and thrown down the stairs by police in full view of cameras. After that came the student demonstrations in favor of civil rights for black people, and then massive demonstrations in opposition to the Vietnam War. In recent years, student protests centered on the Black Lives Matter movement and the war in Gaza, The Trump administration demanded that Berkeley provided with the names of students who attended pro-Palestinian demonstrations. Robert Reich is a professor at Berkeley.
What did the University of California, Berkeley do when the administration asked for the names of demonstrators who are pro-Palestinian? The administration, instead of saying, no, we are protecting our freedom of speech, we don't want to intimidate our students or faculty. No, the administration turned around and gave 160 names to the administration. Some of those people are on visas. You don't, in my book, you don't try to appease dictators or tyrants. It's dangerous to do that because there is no end to the demands that a tyrant or a dictator will make. And that's unfortunately what some universities are doing now.
All autocrats attack universities. Students protest. That's what students do. Look at what happened in Bangladesh when the students overthrew the autocratic government. So students protest. Students protested the Vietnam War. Students protested apartheid in South Africa. The indisputable fact that autocrats regard universities as central democratic institutions that they must attack if they are going to destroy democracy.
The whip hand Trump has over universities is the threat to withhold billions of dollars in scientific research funding.
Billions of dollars has been paid to Harvard. How ridiculous is that? Billions. And they have $52 billion as an endowment.
The Trump administration made the same threats to universities across the country.
The hope that what we could do is not only improve the quantity, but also the quality of their lives.
John Quackenbush is a world-renowned genetic scientist at Harvard who for decades has trained leading researchers around the world, developing cutting-edge treatments for cancer and other diseases. The Trump administration abruptly cut off millions of dollars from his research grants.
There was clearly some kind of political motivation behind it. I had a grant that was terminated because we were looking at sex differences in disease, and it was funded through a program at the National Institutes of Health that mandated that scientists look at both sex and gender, things that were perceived to fall in the domain of diversity, equity, inclusion. So anything that sort of rang of that was terminated.
Quackenbush was conducting a critical study on how certain cancers advance at different rates in men and in women.
Does it seem to you that the Trump administration is kind of at war with science?
Being on the receiving end of a lot of what happens, it does feel like a war on science and a war on expertise.
That's sort of the standard theory of fascism that
Jason Stanley has now left his tenured position at Yale University and moved with his family to the University of Toronto.
When Columbia capitulated is when I decided to move to Toronto. First of all, it's not just the risk the United States falls of falling into fascism, which is maybe a risk that is now it's well on its way to being actualized. But it's also that Canada is the world's foremost multiracial democracy. So I have hopes that Canada can be kind of a bulwark for the world against this global fascist threat.
Stanley says he is following in the footsteps of his Jewish grandparents who fled Germany on the eve of the Second World War. Many U.S. academics say they are considering a similar path to escape the Trump war on universities.
Donald Trump isn't just taking on universities, but opponents and critics too. That's where Terence McKenna will turn for his next story, with a focus on some of the people specifically targeted by the Trump administration. Well, coming up, long-lost brothers meet nearly 80 years after they were born.
It's like we've known each other forever.
How they tracked each other down, next in our moment. This is Frank McGrath and Franz Bannig. They are half-brothers who only recently found out about each other. So here's the story. Their father was a Canadian soldier in the Netherlands during the Second World War. Franz is still there now, but thanks to his granddaughter and a DNA test, the brothers have finally met, and that makes our moment.
Hey, big brother. My big brother.
I didn't know he existed. He didn't know I existed. It's like we've known each other forever.
Got a DNA test. We convinced our grandfather to do a test as well. My grandfather had a half-brother in Canada. I sent Frank an email immediately, and he responded a few weeks later.
My father was a soldier in the Canadian Army. He spent 7-8 months in Belgium and the Netherlands. He was probably separated from Franz's mother as he was repositioned. Met another Dutch girl who was my mother, and she emigrated to Canada.
For my grandfather to have a brother, you can win the lottery, and this felt like that. They have so many similarities as well. Just the little things, how the way they sit, the way they talk.
We're very comfortable together. Comparing our histories, we were both brought up as only children. He was the spitting image of our father. We have this common link, and it's amazingly strong. It's unbelievable.
That's lovely. So Franz never knew his father. His father had no idea he had a son in the Netherlands. But Frank grew up with his dad, so he's been filling in Franz on all that he missed. They have a lot of time to make up for. From all of us at the National, thank you for being with us. I'm Adrienne Arsenault. Take care.